Today's story is one of the most serious allegations in modern conflict. A United Nations Commission has concluded that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. The findings, released this week, accuse Israeli leaders of carrying out genocidal acts and even inciting them publicly. But Israel strongly rejects this, calling it biased and politically motivated. So what exactly did the UN say, what evidence did they cite, and what could this mean for the future of Gaza, Israel, and international law? Let's break it down. The probe was conducted by the UN Human Rights Council's Independent International Commission of Inquiry. It comes nearly 2 years after the October 7, 2023 Hamas attacks and Israel's massive military response in Gaza. Since then, Gaza has faced airstrikes, blockades, mass displacement, and a widespread humanitarian crisis. Human rights groups, governments, and legal scholars have repeatedly raised concerns, but this is the first major UN investigation explicitly concluding genocide. The UN report states that Israel has committed 4 of the 5 acts of genocide defined under the 1948 Genocide Convention. Those acts include killing large numbers of civilians, causing serious bodily and mental harm, inflicting conditions of life calculated to destroy the group such as starvation, lack of water and shelter, and attacks on reproductive health care, destroying maternity wards and IVF clinics. The Commission also points to dehumanizing rhetoric by Israeli leaders, which they say amounts to incitement to genocide. Notably, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, President Isaac Herzog, and former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant are among those cited. The report concludes that the only reasonable inference from Israel's actions and words is intent to destroy, in whole or part, the Palestinian people in Gaza. Under the 1948 Genocide Convention, genocide isn't only about mass killings. It includes killing members of a group, causing serious harm, creating life conditions that make survival impossible, preventing births, or forcibly transferring children. Crucially, these acts must be carried out with intent to destroy a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group. The UN says Israel's actions meet 4 of these 5 criteria. Israel rejects the allegations, calling the report biased, politically motivated, and detached from reality on the ground. Officials argue that the military campaign targets Hamas, not civilians. They claim civilian deaths are a tragic consequence of Hamas operating from dense urban areas, and say Israel makes efforts to warn civilians and facilitate aid, though critics dispute this. Reactions from the international community are mixed. Some governments, like the United Kingdom, have said they have not reached a legal determination of genocide. Meanwhile, the International Association of Genocide Scholars recently stated that Israel's actions do meet genocide criteria. Human rights groups such as Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch have long documented war crimes, but now the legal framing is shifting toward genocide. If upheld, the genocide finding has huge consequences. Legally, it could strengthen cases at the International Court of Justice, like the one filed by South Africa, and may open pathways for prosecution of Israeli officials at the International Criminal Court. Diplomatically, it increases pressure on countries supplying Israel with weapons and could trigger sanctions or restrictions. Humanitarian implications are immense, with more urgent calls for aid access, ceasefires, and international protection for civilians. And morally, the use of the word genocide shifts global discourse dramatically, adding weight to calls for accountability. At the same time, challenges remain. The UN Commission cannot enforce rulings, it only reports findings. Proving intent legally is always difficult, and critics argue the findings stretch interpretation. Israel's allies, especially the United States, may block or dilute enforcement measures. And the conflict is ongoing, meaning conditions on the ground continue to change rapidly. So what happens next? Watch for responses at the International Court of Justice and the International Criminal Court. Look at the diplomatic fallout. Will allies distance themselves, or double down? And on the ground, humanitarian conditions in Gaza remain dire, with over 1 million displaced and widespread destruction. This UN probe marks a turning point in how the Gaza conflict is framed internationally. The word genocide is not used lightly, it is the gravest crime in international law. Whether courts agree or governments act remains uncertain. But for the people of Gaza, and for Israelis too, the stakes could not be higher.